Okay. So we're ready whenever you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll go back into open session at 1:04 p.m. Just for everyone's awareness, pursuant to the Community Safety and Policing Act, which came into effect on April 1st, 2024, Police Service Board shall consider whether to close part of the meeting and state by resolution that it will do so. Earlier today, we held a closed meeting to discuss confidential HR, finance, and legal matters. This was pursuant to section 44(1)(b) and 44(2) of the Community Safety and Policing Act. So I want to thank you all for joining us in person and for those who are joining us online as well. I'd like to begin by just letting everyone know we have a very full agenda today, and sometimes this board doesn't do the best job of keeping on time. So we're gonna see if we can see if we can do better. The last couple of meetings we've finished on time, so we're gonna continue to work on that. But it's a special meeting today with important guests who are being recognized for their service. And we also have two very interesting presentations today from the Uniform Division, which would include the open air drug strategy, followed by a presentation on the nurse police response team, which we're really excited about as well. So we really look forward to those presentations. We thank the chief and his leadership team for putting those together for us. But first we'll begin with some procedural matters. So disclosures of interest, members? Seeing none, any introduction of new business? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 21st, 2025 board meeting? Moved by member Lehman, seconded by member Stevenson. Anyone opposed? That's carried. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 11th, 2025 special budget meeting? Moved by Vice Chair Branscombe, seconded by member Stevenson. Any comments? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 2 on your agenda, London Police Service Board certificates of recognition. And I really want to acknowledge 2 different members today, Sergeant Shana Winchez and Sergeant Ozzy Nethersall. Constable Winchez, we're going to start with you. And I wanted to say before I get into reading the formal acknowledgement from this board that both these members were nominated at the Beyond the Blue Gala in their efforts related to mental health and their work with other police officers. And I was able to join them in Toronto for the event and for the awards ceremony. And it was very moving night, and it's really great to see, as the chair of the board, the work that our members do every day, going above and beyond for their colleagues and for this service. And it's really truly appreciated. And I know sometimes the board is seen as, a governance body, and we're passing policies and doing budgets and doing a lot of those sort of things that set the direction. But we don't often get time to say thank you to the men and women, both sworn and civilian members, who are doing good work every single day. So I wanted to say that publicly. Thank you very, very much. As the governing body of the service, the board wishes to recognize the individuals whose dedication and leadership help advance the service's goals, enhance public safety, and strengthen the well-being of our community. These certificates of recognition represent the board's appreciation for all members and civilian professionals, and highlight a select few whose contributions exemplify the values and spirit of this organization. I'm going to start with Constable Shana Winchez. In recognition of 20 years of dedicated service, exceptional leadership in member resilience, community trust, and mental health advocacy, your innovative initiatives and compassionate support have created lasting change and contributed significantly to the London Police Service, making wellness a visible and integral part of our organization's culture. Constable Winchez was also not only nominated, but she won the award in her category down in Toronto last month. And it really just shows the incredible things that she is doing within the service. And I've heard many stories from the chief included about your great work. So on behalf of the board, congratulations. Thank you for everything you do on a daily basis. And just before we present your certificate, Chief, I did want to maybe offer you the opportunity to say it as well.
Oh, I just used her shoulder chair. Thank you. Sheena knows how we feel of her and Ozzy as well. She does incredible work. She represents everything that the London Police Service strives to be. She cares about our members, her members, and she really takes this responsibility to her core. So we couldn't be more proud of Shana and I'll say thank you to Dan Thompson for her sergeant, recommending her and supporting her and everyone through MCAL, the leadership team, and under Deputy Chief McSween's command. So thank you, Shane. We're so proud of you.
Congratulations on Sasha joining us here. Our vice chair to join us as well. This for you. All right, and our second person that we're recognizing today is Sergeant Ozzie Nethersall, excuse me. And anyone who knows Ozzie knows that what a positive personality he has. Every time I say Ozzie, I've never heard a bad thing. Every time I ask how he's doing, even though it may not be a great day, he says, "I'm doing great." And he really is a shining light, and it exudes positive energy. So I just wanted to say that I've had the many dealings with Ozzie in various roles in the organization, as a board member, and as well as his work with the London Police Association, which we're very happy to have in the back. Gareth Harris, the president, and the executive director, Paulo Dominguez, and thank the LPA for their great collaboration with this board and with the service. We really appreciate it. And Ozzie, in recognition of your outstanding leadership and exemplary service, your advocacy efforts and compassionate guidance have strengthened a culture of respect, inclusivity, and wellness throughout the organization while building trust with the community we serve. We thank you for everything we do. We wanted to celebrate your nomination as well for an award at Beyond the Blue Gala. And we just wanted to say to you, to Shayna, to all our members, thank you for doing what you do to make sure that Londoners have the best police service possible, a service that's compassionate, a service that's community-minded, that's progressive, and that's focused on making sure that we deliver effective policing for the next 100 years to London. So, Ozzie, congratulations. Ozzie looks so handsome. I haven't got this on his video.
With the voices, that's a smile again.
So Ozzie and Shayna, you don't have to stay for the entire meeting. So we're not offended if you leave. So if you
I have to stay.
okay. Sorry. But when you need to depart, we understand, and that goes for everyone. We know there's some people moving in and moving out, but let's again, congratulations. So members will turn to item number 3 in your package, and it's going to be item 3.1, the Master Services Products License Agreement Report 2510 FF04. And I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief McSween.
Thank you, through you, Chair. This is a report for the board seeking a decision. The London Police Service is seeking to enter into an agreement with Onyx for the purpose of information technology infrastructure products and related services. The proposed shift to a value-added reseller, which is known as VAR model, will allow the LPS to procure a broad range of products, services, and support from a single vendor under pre-negotiated terms. And the agreement with Onyx is expected to significantly improve the efficiency and agility of the LPS IT branch. And additionally, the model has already been successfully implemented in Toronto, so we were able to leverage their contract provisions to benefit from competitive pricing. So subject to any comments or questions from the board, that's the report.
Thank you, Deputy. Members? Seeing no question. Oh, sorry, members.
Just a general comment. Glad to see this come through. Onyx is a a leader in in services, tech services in North America. Recently, I was on a ride along overnight and I saw technology in action. There was a severe accident with a number of first responders on the scene. The police officers there were taking statements from witnesses, quite a number of witnesses. And the officer that I was with explained how it used to be done, bringing the witness over to the police car, manually typing in the report, which took a long time, 20 minutes, half an hour. They were going around with their cell phone, taking statements while with the body cam to get that information that way. They were able to interview many folks in a very short period of time, allowing for two things. One is accuracy of that information gathered, and two, getting their job done more efficiently and being able to get back out on their regular service in the city.
Thank you.
Members, the question. Call the question then on 3.1 that the recommendation is that the London Police Service Board execute the master services products and license agreement with Onyx for the purchase of information technology infrastructure projects and related services. Can I have someone move that, please? Member Lehman, seconded. Vice Chair Branscombe. Any discussion on the recommendation on the floor? See, now I'll call the question. All opposed? Any opposed? Excuse me. That's carried. Thank you. And actually, I'm just going to go back in our haste, moving forward and trying to keep things on time. I didn't give the chief the opportunity to say something about Ozzy, so I'm going to go back and allow him to also say something about someone else in our organization. Chief, thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair. I will say that so observing for Sergeant Medisol, Ozzy's been a leader in this organization for many years.
There's no earthquake drill in London, Ontario, okay?
That's funny.
So,
For many years, he's been a leader in this organization, not just as a member of the London Police Association, but a leader to our members while he was leading traffic, and very well known in the community, and his role in foot patrol and amongst our community. Our community know him very well, business community, citizens. Nothing but positive things to say about Ozzy, and I can tell you it's a pleasure to have him as one of our members. We have a great deal of respect for him on the association. A true professional, cares about the members, cares about the organization, cares about community. So we are always so proud of Ozzy. So we're very well deserving to him, and appreciate everyone who supported him in the nomination and his area command, his commanders, and under Deputy Chief Guilford's area command. So congratulations, Ozzy. We were very proud of you. He is good looking and very well deserved.
thank you, Chief. And I obviously echo what the chief said, but I just wanted to note one thing, because we talked about Ozzy's involvement with the LPA, and just on behalf of the board, as the chair of the board, I did want to say to Ozzy, to Gareth, to Paulo, to Buzz, we really appreciate around this table the good working relationship that we have with the association. You know, we appreciate that you have a job to do and that you have to advocate for your members, and you appreciate that we have a job to do as the government's oversight body of this service. And we just want to say, we say this behind closed doors, but want to say it publicly too, that we appreciate the rapport that we've built for the last few years as we are modernizing and transforming this police service. We can't do it without all partners pulling in the same directions. So truly, to Ozzy, to Garrett, to Paulo, to the entire board, we thank you, and we look forward to continuing that positive dialogue and having that relationship moving forward as we continue to improve the service. So on that, I'll move to item 3.2 on the agenda, which is the revenue offsetting of personnel costs, report 2510 FF07, and I'll go back to Deputy Chief next week.
Thank you, through you, Chair. The report that the board has before them is for the board's information with regards to the positions where we are able to offset revenue, offset the revenue for the personnel costs involved. So we have 76 positions through the organization. That is the equivalent of $7.61 million. And we were able to add 5 more positions as well to this chart. The funding that we receive through grants and other secondment opportunities provides a significant financial benefit for the organization and therefore for the community. Subject to any questions from the board, that is the report.
Members, any questions on 3.2? Yes.
This is everybody that's on secondment.
That's
right. The whole.
Last call. Okay, you don't need a motion. The report is for informational purposes only. So we will move forward to statutory compliance reports under the Community Safety and Policing Act. 4.1 collection, preservation and control of evidence property, report 2510 SF03. Deputy McSween.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Yes, as noted, this is a statutory report that we must provide to the board on an annual basis with regards to any evidence that comes into our care. And the board receives funds. So the board received $89,929.05 and $769 US during the reporting period. That reflects from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th of 2025. And that's in accordance with sections 258, 259, and 260 of the Community Safety and Policing Act. Subject to any questions from the board, that is the report.
Members, any questions on 4.1? Yeah, Vice Chair
I'm
Brace.
just curious with firearms that are found, turned in or seized by the police for securely stored and then either returned or destroyed or whatever. Would you ever find it that if somebody had a legal firearm that you had to confiscate for whatever reason, that they don't get it back, or do you have to return it to the rightful owner after whatever, for whatever reason it's seized? It just struck me that should we be giving them back to people where you seized them, but I don't know all the reasons why you might find them or seize them.
I would normally be forfeited through the court, through the proceedings, but I can't think of any such transaction.
Through the chair, there could be a number of cases. There could be a court order disposition with respect to the property. So often either it's following, I suppose if it's following an investigator or a case, it's going to be the result of a charge. It's not quite what you're asking to think, but there are circumstances where firearms are seized for under what we call public safety provisions in the criminal code. And we can seize those with or without warrant under certain circumstances. If they're seized without warrant, we have to apply and articulate the rationale for seizing them and then seek to have a hearing before a justice of the peace or a court justice who will then hear evidence about why we feel it's not in the interest of the person to own the firearms, even though they're not necessarily linked to a specific firearms offense. So there could be a violent offense, there could be a mental health issue, something like that. And then the court would then, at the end of that hearing, the court would render a judgment or decision with respect to the disposition of those firearms. Often they would be, it's the destruction would be issued.
Okay, so there's a procedure, you don't just give them back.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. That's what I was getting at.
Follow-up?
No, thank you.
Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on 4.1 that the London Police Service Board receive this mandated report and post it to our website at www.lpsb.ca website under the accountability and reporting section. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Vice Chair Branscombe, seconded by Member Faulkner. Further discussion? Seeing none and opposed? That's carried. Thank you. I'm going to turn to 4.2 in your package, which is the IOP complaint file 24362, investigation 25-39. The board received a procedure complaint through the Inspector of Policing regarding the concerns about the London Police Service's response to a hit and run collision involving a 14-year-old cyclist. It is the current process of the board that the receipt of a policy or procedure complaint through the Inspector of Policing automatically triggers an investigation by the chief and a written report submitted to the board. The report back from the service is being provided for the board's consideration. The board shall review the report and determine whether its review of the complaint can be concluded or if further action is required. It shall then provide a formal response, including its decision and any steps taken to the Inspector General. Before I go in and turn it to questions for the members, I'll turn it over to Deputy Guilford for a explanation of the report.
Yes, thank you, and Chair, through you. Again, as you've explained, and I just want to get into this for a couple of minutes more for the members of the public that are watching our meeting, just so they have an understanding of what exactly happened there. So in August of 2024, there was a woman whose teenage son was hit by a car while he was on his bicycle. Not seriously injured, but it was a set of circumstances where we were not able to have an officer detailed to that incident until the next day. So not a situation that any of us want to be in when cases like this come in. We want to be there on scene and taking care of any issues that come up. Rightfully so, she didn't like that, and I wouldn't either as a parent. I don't think anybody would as a parent. And she originally made a complaint to the law enforcement complaints agency. They determined that it wasn't in their purview to investigate, and they turned it over to the inspector of police. And again, as the chair indicated, we did a review about procedures, our procedures that we have in place. Both of them up is when these types of calls come in, are they given the proper weight compared to other calls that we also have to service? So are we essentially triaging it properly and responding it, making sure that there are other calls that aren't given a higher priority than this, right? That it's properly being addressed. So going into the complaint, there is a review of the incident summary, a chronology of what happened and when it happened, and just our initial conversations with the complainant as far as what the majority of her complaint was. So we have looked at all of that. We did a thorough dive into our procedures as they relate to different aspects of this complaint, such as for the police reporting center, if it was to go there, for this was originally came in as a hit and run collision where the driver ended up coming back. So we looked at that procedure. The procedure governing our communications operators and our dispatchers, and their SOP as well as our paid duty procedure, because she referenced, why do you have people who are at different events around the city? Why aren't they responding to calls for service? And in that specific instance, because those are off-duty officers and they aren't actually they're on duty and responding to calls for service. They have a different job that day. So we've gone through all that. And as much as we should have been there, and we are actively and vigorously working towards being able to respond quickly to emergencies that happen to the citizens of this city. That is through the support of our board and from city council. And we are working hard towards that, but we still have ways to go, obviously. But for this, did not find any lapses in procedure or any procedure that needs to be either rewritten or enhanced in any way. One thing that I just want to point out as well is that since this happened in August of 2024, we have taken other steps to ensure that we are triaging calls properly. So we now have our dispatchers who are at the desk and looking at these calls. We have their supervisor that also looks at these calls, make sure we're handling the right calls at the right time. But as of January of this year, we also have duty inspectors that are back in the communication room who will be able to look through the calls, make sure they're prioritized properly, to have the lens of an experienced police leader in the organization to be looking at it, that as well. So that's very important.
Thank you, Deputy. Members, questions? Member Lehman.
For you, Chair and Deputy, at that time, the report indicates that LPS was servicing 7 active Code 1 calls and 31 Code 2 calls. Can you give me an example of what a Code 1 call is and what Code 2 call is?
Yes, absolutely. Here, through you. So Code 1 calls would be emergency calls for service, where we are responding with lights and sirens. So it could be, if we're talking about motor vehicle accidents, it could be one where it's a significant bodily harm that has been caused. It could be a weapons call. It could be an officer in need of assistance, like high priority calls. And then it's where this call came in was prioritized as a code 2 call. So it means you don't respond like lights and sirens, but you go there as soon as you can. The only problem is there are also a lot of other code 2 calls that have to be actioned. We've been amongst those 30 code 2 calls. You have to look at those, and that's where it helps to have that senior police officer, that duty inspector in the room, to be able to help our dispatchers and our communication supervisors to go within those code 2 calls. This is how we need to prioritize those.
Yeah, so the injury was soreness to the hand, body. Are you saying, Deputy, for you, Chair, that if there was more severe injury, it would have been a code 1 call and it would have been
That's
a higher priority?
That's correct. So that's information that the call takers would have been receiving coming in. It would have been one where once the call initially comes in, like a teenager's been hit by a motor vehicle and they were on their bicycle. It would start out as a code 1, but then they're constantly getting more information. Oh, we have somebody out with a person, they just have a couple of bumps and bruises. And then because we have that information, then we have to reevaluate and then determine at that point, okay, is this something we have to go to now? Or are there more pressing calls that now trump this one? And again, it's a situation where we don't even want to be in this position where we have to make those calls. Right? We have a teenage kid who's probably scared, hurt, not knowing what to do. We want to be able to get there, and again, that's what we are working. Thank you.
Other members?
All right, yes, Chief.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Just to echo Deputy Chief Guilford's comments, you know, the complainant is the mother of this youth. Rightfully so upset, rightfully so concerned for her son. We understand that, and we're very empathetic to the family. I will say in the review, in looking at our policies and procedures, I don't see an issue with policy and procedure. The procedures that are in place are adequate for response. And to Member Lehman's point, if the information reported at the time was that her son had injuries that were beyond minor, that would have elevated to a code 1, and it would have pushed resources to prioritize us responding. But the information that we had at the time, the youth it was minor injuries, a sore hand. EMS was there, fire was already in attendance. One of the complaints or the concerns from the mom was that if the driver ended up returning back to the scene, what if the driver was impaired and we weren't there? Well, we also rely on our first responders, who are also our partners, fire, EMS, who indicated that we had no evidence of that. If we were to receive information that the driver's returned and there's evidence of impairment, that would have elevated our response. So the code was coded properly by the organization. At the time, that day, August 23rd, 2024, we were dispatched, our frontline members responded to 120 calls that day. And of the 120 calls, there was over 30 calls that were code 1 emergency calls. Now, that is just for context as to why we didn't get there until the next day. So rightfully so, mother is upset, and when the mother contacted us, she's in a state of huge concern, and rightfully so. So for us, policies and procedures adequate. I think as a mother, as a citizen, if we were to communicate a little bit better to her, for her to understand the fact that she's really elevated. But I just want to bring context of what our communication center is dealing with, what our frontline officers are dealing with at the time, as to why that didn't happen. Now, as the deputy had mentioned, service delivery model is changing. This is at a time of last year. By the end of this year, we'll have the full implementation in place, the creation of the duty inspector role is to have this oversight and to look at even the code twos on what can be prioritized amongst the code twos. So, subject to any questions, just wanted to provide some context into that.
Chief, thank you. First, seeing none, we do have a motion. Read it out as follows. The London Police Service Board, number one, concluded its review of the complaint and advised the Inspector General of Policing of the outcome, including a copy of the report received from the Chief of Police. And two, ensure that the complainant is notified of the determination made regarding this complaint. Can I have someone move, please? Vice Chair Branscombe, seconded by Member Stevenson. Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. And thank you, Deputy Guilford, Chief, for the detailed explanation. We appreciate it, because as you rightfully mentioned, as a parent myself, and any parent is going to be absolutely concerned and rightfully so, want explanation. So thank you for that. We'll move to number 5 on the agenda, which is presentations from our uniform division, and the board is pleased to receive 2 special presentations today from the service highlighting current initiatives aimed at enhancing public safety and community well-being. Sharing these updates supports transparency and provides an opportunity for both the board and the public to learn more about the innovative work taking place across the service. These presentations reflect the service's ongoing commitment to continuous improvement and collaborating and keeping our community safe. Before I turn it over to the chief, I just wanted to note that the board is really set an ambitious goal to get in as many of our different units as possible to present to the public, to talk about the work that's being done. Oftentimes people only see police when they're responding to a code 1 call or they're out at a community event, but they don't necessarily know the breadth and depth of the organization and the specialized services that we have within the LPS. And I think it's very important that we see that. Big canine in at a recent meeting, which was a highlight. The dog is always the highlight. We've had in other units as well that have come in and talked about their important work that they're doing in the community. We will continue this as long as this board is here in this iteration to get as much information out there as possible. When we talk about transparency, this is a big piece of it as well, showing the different units and hearing from those subject matter experts. So with that, I'll turn over to the chief who has a few things to say, and then I'm sure Deputy Guilford will also like to begin.
Sure, thank you. I'll turn it over to Deputy Guilford.
Okay, thank you. And I am going to turn it over to Dr. Catherine Din from the Corporate Services Division to introduce her team that's going to be doing this presentation for us today.
For those following, sorry, Dr. Dan, I was just going to say, for those following along online, it'll be 5.1 open air drug use strategy and corresponding report 2510 DO1. Dr. Dan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I believe you're all aware that the plan to address open air substance use in our community was created by the Evidence-Based Policing Unit at the LPS. I'm pleased to introduce their supervisor, Sergeant Melissa Whiten, who will be taking you through the first part of the presentation today. The Evidence-Based Policing Unit is responsible for tracking, analyzing, and reporting on the data that's contained within the board report that you have in front of you. We absolutely could not do that without the assistance and expertise of our crime analyst in the EDP team, Sarah Harmer, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, as well as members of the Business Analytics Unit, in particular Carla West, who is sitting in the audience trying to hide right now. So I just want to acknowledge their work in helping us through this strategy. And of course, all of the hard work is done by Sergeant Nethersolf and the other members of the Community Foot Patrol section. They are the ones that are on the ground collecting this information and sharing it with us so that we're able to inform the next steps of the strategy. So I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant White to continue.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start by providing a brief overview of the open air substance use strategy, and then I'm going to talk about some key data collection points and next steps. So the strategy was launched in April 2025 in response to growing concerns around open air substance use in public spaces in the downtown core and surrounding area. The objective of this strategy is to create pathways to support services, working collaboratively with our community partners to connect individuals to local resources. It's rooted in compassion, engagement, and education, and it is focused on building relationships and fostering a downtown that feels safe. The strategy is staffed by the Community Foot Patrol section. It is comprised of 27 constables, 2 sergeants, and 1 staff sergeant, whose role is to maintain a high visibility police presence in the downtown, midtown, and Old East Village. If I can put it simply, the goal is for officers to see and be seen. Officers are deployed every day with the highest presence during business hours when foot traffic and community interactions are most frequent. I just want to talk a little bit about their daily activities. They are responding to complaints and concerns from the community, engaging with individuals, and identifying hotspots. I just kind of want to explain what I mean by that. Officers are proactively monitoring and assessing areas where public disorder and open air substance use are occurring. And they're tracking that information in the forms of reports and calls for service. And what that allows is that we can then look at that data and we can see where incidents are clustering or concentrating. That's what I'm calling a hotspot. And then it allows us to have a data-driven deployment model where we can then send officers when and where they are needed the most. I'm now going to take you through some of the key data collection points. The stats that I will be, thank you. The stats I will be talking about capture the time period from April 8th to August 25th, 2025. During this time period, a total of 2,911 calls for service were recorded, which led to the creation of 1,350 police reports. The vast majority of these calls related to trespassing at 51% and drug-related incidents in public spaces at 47%. In terms of how these calls were initiated, 73% were LPS member generated, which stemmed from proactive patrols or officer observations. 18% were routed through the dedicated foot patrol line, and the remaining 9% originated through 911 calls and other sources. We now look to the interaction outcomes themselves. When engaging with individuals during these calls, 63% were compliant with police directions, 26% were provided referrals to support services or community resources, 4% were non-compliant, and in 7% of cases, there was no further action required after initial contact, or the officers were canceled prior to arrival, or the report was left pending further completion. If we look to the engagements, overall, officers have engaged with over 800 unique individuals. Notably, however, more than half, at 54%, were interacted with on multiple occasions, which is indicating high acuity needs among certain individuals. It's also important to point out that just 5 individuals accounted for 170 interactions, suggesting that a small number of individuals have required a disproportionately high level of support and police engagement. I'm now going to talk a little bit more about the referrals, as this is a critical component of the open air substance use strategy. Approximately 760 referrals were made, and they were distributed across more than a dozen different community agencies. 63% were not accepted by the individuals, 18% were accepted, 9% were offered and had an unknown outcome. And what I mean by that is if the foot patrol officers engaged with an individual and offered them a support service, and they were met with a response of, not right now, or I'll have a think about it, we are taking a very conservative approach to the data that we are collecting. So if we can't say with any degree of certainty that they actually went and accessed that service, then we are coding it as an unknown outcome. 9% also had an unknown outcome, and that was due to an old coding system. So for this product specifically, we created an entirely new coding system, and that was to enhance the granularity of the data that we were collecting. However, about a month into the strategy, we recognized that it wasn't granular enough. And so we introduced 4 new codes, and they were all used to capture the referral process. So what the outcomes of the specific referrals were and which agencies we were referring people to. So that 9% accounts for that first month before we switched over to the new coding system. Moving on, a small portion, 1%, were declined by the agencies themselves. And this was often due to capacity limitations or people being placed on a temporary restriction from accessing those services. Now looking at charges, only 1% of all calls for service during this period resulted in criminal charges. In total, 23 charges were laid, most frequently for possession of a Schedule I substance, which accounted for 13 of the 23 charges. I'd now like to talk a little bit about the seizure activity. During this time period, 1,297 interactions involved a seizure, which could involve multiple items per incident. So what I mean by that is it could be a combination of paraphernalia and drugs seized or multiple drug items seized in an interaction. In total, over 2,600 pieces of paraphernalia have been seized. In terms of drug seizures, there have been over 1,450 individual seizures. It's important to note, though, in 80% of these cases, we're only talking about trace amounts of substances being found, so residue on paraphernalia and packaging. Additionally, 90% of the drug seizures involve suspected fentanyl, suggesting its continued prevalence in our community. I'd now like to briefly touch on next steps. The transition into phase 2 of the open air substance use strategy began on Tuesday, October 14th. This next phase builds on the core principles of phase 1, adding targeted actions based on data gathered so far. The first task will be a coordinated service delivery for high acuity individuals. As I previously mentioned when discussing the engagements, through data analysis, we have identified a cohort of high acuity individuals requiring a disproportionate level of response from the London Police and Community Services. To address this, a memorandum of understanding is being developed to facilitate secure information sharing between LPS and key community partners. Sharing the list of individuals identified as having the highest and most immediate need for support will enable a coordinated delivery of wraparound services that would be tailored to the individual, evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And this can include things like healthcare, housing, and social supports, just to name a few. This collaborative approach aims to reduce police intervention and improve long-term outcomes. The second course of action will involve targeted enforcement with consideration for individual circumstances. Phase 2 will further introduce a measured enforcement protocol, with enforcement still being viewed as a last resort. However, we have diligently tracked each time an individual has been warned for engaging in open air substance use in phase 1. And those who continue to disregard directives to cease public substance use are now more likely to be charged under the applicable legislation. While we will continue to approach enforcement with sensitivity to the complexities of substance use and addiction, we as the police also have a duty to maintain community safety. Through data-driven targeting, strategic enforcement, and a coordination of service delivery, phase 2 aims to enhance public safety and improve health outcomes. I am now going to turn it over to Sergeant Nethersall of the Community Foot Patrol section, who's going to provide some on-the-ground insights.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview of the daily responsibilities and activities of our community foot patrol officers as they engage in the community partners and provide frontline service and support to different areas of the city. I'm going to start by going through what our officers do in the morning and walk you through, because there's 2 parts to this. There's East End Patrol and there's Downtown Patrol. So I'm going to start off with the East End Patrol. So each morning the officers come in and we have a phone in the office, and those voice messages are left on the phone, and those are from our business owners. So whatever concerns that they have or whatever complaints that they have, the officers review that And as they go out in the morning and throughout the day, they will meet up with those business owners and deal with those complaints. The East End phone and the downtown phone are direct lines to those business owners. This is vital and it's very important. So now those business owners don't have to call the communication center and tie up the 911 phone number there, and because they are servicing other calls. So it builds more for rapport. The Foot Patrol officers, they know a lot of the business owners, if not all of them. So they feel free to call them. The officers respond to them. And so a team will go to the east in the morning and teams will go downtown also in the morning. And we have afternoon rotation for days and afternoons. So one for the east end and one for the downtown are monitored by the Foot Patrol officers as they take calls from business owners. Our officers are divided into coverage areas. The east end officers patrol the Dundas corridor, where they engage with individuals with homelessness. Officers perform check welfares on these individuals, and they provide services as they go through the morning as we make our way down Dundas Street. These early interactions are essential as they help set up the constructive and the rest of the day for the officers. So what I'm trying to explain at this point is when the officers go out in the morning and we see people on the storefronts or on the sidewalk, we engage with them. And that is the most crucial part of the day. Because if you imagine, we have individuals waking up from overnight, possibly on drugs, suffering from mental health, and our officers have to be professionals while they gather themselves. Officers regularly work with CIR officers, which are coordinated, informed response officers who are employed by the City of London. So our Foot Patrol officers will meet up with them at Dundas and Lisle, Dundas and Elizabeth, because that area has a high concentration of individuals that are suffering from homelessness, but that area also has social agencies that provide them services. We also have a contracted cleanup crew that meet up with us in the morning. So if you ever go out there in the morning and you see the Foot Patrol officers, which black and the neon shirts, we have also 2 individuals that are contracted by the city that have the orange vest with the CIR officers, which are our enforcement officers from the city, and we all work together as a team. That's the collaboration that we need in the morning to work with everyone. If we do not do this in the morning and throughout the day, it will not work because the police cannot move forward with what we want to do with the open air project. Key areas of concerns in East End are Dundas Street and Lisle, Dundas Street and Elizabeth. This area has a large concentration of homeless individuals, as I said. The parking lot behind the Palace Theater, the Arcade Mission, Chapman's Pharmacy, Banting House, and London Cares. When the East End officers make it out east, they make these areas a priority. Just like Melissa said, by Sergeant Whiten, these are hot spots for us, and we will continue to circle those areas throughout the day as we branch off to other areas in the East End, but that's the focus of our patrols on the mornings and the afternoons. The Plaza and Dundas Street, which is a little bit farther west, which is Midtown, you usually get large gatherings there also in the Plaza, not only from the homeless individuals, but you also get the students, and when they intermix, it becomes quite an issue in that area, so we also focus on that area. It's going to move on to the downtown area. So officers go to the east. We send officers downtown. They concentrate their patrols along the Dundas core again, particularly in the area between Rideout Street and Wellington. Their efforts focus on community engagement and the business supports as there is a large gathering throughout the day. Between Wellington and Rideout, we also have the public library on the south side. There's a pharmacy just across the library on the north side. With a group of individual gatherings there, people going to the library and the pharmacy on the north side, we try to have our officers visible at all times in the morning in that area. That is a concern for us, and we will keep patrolling that area throughout the day. The business owners there, we've spoken to them many times. If they have issues, they will come to us or they will call us. So we are always monitoring that area. On the weekends, because we have Dundas Place in that area, there's so much festivals in the summertime. I know we rolled into September. That was a busy time, so our officers were always patrolling up and down Dundas Street because of the special events that we have throughout the year and will continue to have throughout the year. As a supervisor in Foot Patrol unit, I have observed an environmental shift as it relates to open air illicit drug consumption, as well as the change in the quantity of drugs seized by officers. This trend has reflected in the officers' reports, which are regularly reviewed and monitored by the supervisors in the unit. So our supervisors in the Foot Patrol unit, we review our officers' reports that they submit every day, every week. And the trend that we're trying to see is the open air project appears to be working. We don't see people as much when it first started, openly smoking out there. When we started the front end of the project, reports that were coming into us, there was large seizures. All we're seeing now, and the majority of the time that we're seeing now, is trace residue, oils, and paraphernalia. So it's getting better. And that's from the reports that we're reading and the things that we're seizing. Over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of positives in this project. For the officers, for the collaboration with the community partners, and for the individuals that also need help. I picked this story in particular because this one really struck home in the kind of work that we're doing out there. In mid-June, community Foot Patrol officers engaged with a male that was suffering from homelessness since 2023. The Foot Patrol officers were in the process of getting that male to meet up with CMHA worker, but later in that day, they ended up meeting up with the director from Refuge Ministry Canada, who approached them and said, we have 3 beds that we're trying to place individuals that are suffering from homelessness, that we can give them a placement. The officers thought this gentleman was a perfect candidate. They talked about it, met all the criteria, they found out what all the criteria were, went back to the gentleman, he was interested. They brought him down to ODSP, they filled out the application, brought him back to the ministry director, he approved it. The male has since successfully been placed in home and things have been going well for him. So these are the success stories that we want to happen and we want to hear about. So our officers will report those back to us when they have good stories like that. And there are many good stories, but that one in particular, I really like because we were able to identify the male and find them housing. In the last month, this project has changed so much. Our officers are taking on different things, and we have Elena from the hospital that will come and talk to us. We go with the nurses, but one of the things that's been identified lately is drug use on the bus and also paraphernalia that's being exposed on the bus. When riders are on the bus, the London Transit, they don't like that. They report that to us. We take action with that. So in the last month, we've had our officers, high visibility, going onto the buses, riding with the buses up and down Dundas, up and down Richmond, to also provide more safety and more visibility. The drivers, the passengers have overwhelmingly loved this. It's extremely popular. To the point last week, I was out there, we went on, and we actually went on with a nurse. So now they started talking to us. We're on the bus with the police officer and with the nurse. The public loves it. So in conclusion, I want to tell you that our Foot Patrol officers are totally dedicated to this project. And you can see how passionate I am about this because this means a lot to us. I know it means a lot to this city, and we will dig in and we will keep working hard for you on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, so thank you everyone for your presentation. Members, before we move on to 5.2 nurse police responsible presentation, are there any questions or comments on your drug strategy presentation and point in your package? Member Stevenson.
Thank you for the great presentation and all you guys do out there. We do hear great feedback about the Foot Patrol and the new open air strategy. One of the questions I hear quite a bit is, are people refusing beds if they're available? Are there any stats on that as to whether there are beds available and maybe not being accepted?
I'll take that.
Sorry, all
right. And being on the, I call it on the ground with people out there, we worked afternoon shifts, and later in the night, a lot of people we would approach, and just being the police, they would be like, oh, I don't know if they're going to help us. Well, lately, with the project and everyone being accustomed to us and the education, we call the social services they've been working with us. So after hours, we can refer people and they have been accepting it. I know in particular, we found 4 individuals in Banting House, colder night, temperature was dropping. At first, they were just gonna walk away. We're like, hey, would you like to go and sleep at one of the shelters? And I don't know if I can say this here, but it was the Ark. And it was great. We called the Ark. They said, we have 4 beds. They're like, you know what? We'll take them. They walked over to the Ark. So people are more willing when the officers spend a little bit more time. So it's not just, hey, do you want a bed? And you walk away. He's like, no, we have the bed. Come on, let's go. We have a place down here. I will call for you and we will get you down there. And if we have to call somebody to come and get you, because the social services, they're working with us. We will come and they will pick you up and we will go down there if that may be. Just please find a place to stay for the night. So the officers are spending a lot more time now. And I think that makes it different, because if you just walk up and ask somebody, they just might walk away. They don't think you're vested and you're interested in that.
Follow-up?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, one follow-up, you mentioned how important it is that you work as a team in the morning with CIR and the others. Are they operating 7 days a week, the same as you, your team?
Our team? Oh, CIR?
Yeah.
I don't think they operate on Sunday, but I know they on the weekends. And same thing on Saturdays, we will meet up with them on Saturdays. There's not as much on the weekends for whatever reason. It's during the week where the majority of our cleanup is. So, and sorry, I know you didn't ask me, but I'll tell you, but when we're doing the cleanup in the morning, when people abandon things, we pick them up and we encourage them to pick them up. So you don't have shopping carts out there. You don't have those big blue recycling bins with with City of London on it. We take all those and we clean the area up, and we clean up all behind parking lot number 1, parking lot number 2, Banting House, London Cares, and we go right across and we make sure everything's clean.
Okay, thank you very much.
Members? Member Lehman?
Yeah, thanks, Ozzy. One of the advantages of you being honored today, which is wonderful to see, is to finally learn your last name.
There's a lot of first names in that place.
A couple of things jumped out at me, and you've kind of, the one, which was, Member Stevenson did ask about and you addressed. 63% of referrals were not accepted. So that's out of 760 people. That's about 478 people that refused assistance, right? And if they're refusing assistance, it makes it hard for us to help, right? Correct. So I was going to ask you, what are you doing to, get that number down? I think you've answered that. If you want to,
But I'll have an answer for that too. We started working with London Cares and we had them adjust their hours in the morning. And what we found, there was such a big gathering of people, especially at Adelaide and Queens in the morning time. There were so many people there. People are going to work. The lawn was just covered with people. So what they did was they rolled back their hours, half an hour to make it a little bit earlier. So when people started to disperse, we started to clean up the area. They had a place to go and get assistance. So they would line up in an orderly fashion, go into London Cares, and they would get more service that way. And London Cares, the feedback I got from them, it was great because now we're working together. And so when they moved, say from the boulevard or from the lawn, they would go right into the facility and they would get the service they need in the morning and also in the afternoon. It's getting better.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I'd
sorry.
just like to add to that, yeah. I think we want to be very mindful not to speak for the vulnerable individuals in our community that are declining these services. But this is new. The Foot Patrol officers were always out there engaging with the community and offering support services, but I don't think to this degree. This has been such a whole systems approach from our community coming together, and we're talking and we're learning about available resources that it's a shame that we didn't know about before. But for these individuals, the journey to a pathway might not be linear. So although they may not have said yes that time, we're going to keep trying. And they may not come up to us and say, thank you for providing me that information about that social service. I actually went and accessed it the next day. So this can only capture one period of time where we offered them that service. But every time the Foot Patrol officers are engaging with them, they're humanizing their role as a police officer, and they're still giving that education that they might act on later on.
Thank you. That's our Member Lehman?
Follow up for you, Chair. And that's terrific. That's great. That's the compassionate side of things and the more folks that we can offer a door, that they can go through to get a path to, the 24-hour cycle of misery that they're experiencing on the street. I'm really happy to hear that. On the other side, we have, 5 individuals that accounted for a total of 170 interactions. With one individual 39 times. So that's taking up resources, both of these police and both of our healthcare and the other agencies that you mentioned. If there's not a willingness to act according to the law, what is that step? I think it was referred to a little earlier in your presentation of what's the strategy for those type of folks.
Yeah, so that comes the transition into phase 2. So we wanted to be cognizant of the fact that this was a new strategy, and we really wanted to give an ample amount of time to be out there, educating everyone because it was a change. But for some individuals, referrals, engagements, warnings is not working. And we need to shift gears then, especially with those 5 individuals that are high acuity. The officers are still going to evaluate things on a case-by-case basis and take in the totality of the circumstances, the nature of their interactions to then come to their determination, because we do still want to work to create those pathways. But we wanted to take the time to collect the appropriate data for this to be evidence-based. We want it to be data-driven, and we have done that now. And we are now actively providing, thanks to Carla, a list weekly that gets generated that goes to the Foot Patrol officers that shows those individuals, their compliance, whether they were compliant or non-compliant, whether that had to do with trespassing, whether that happened to do with open air substance use. And this is where phase 2 is going to come in. And we have been in contact with the PPSC to let them know that things are going to change for certain individuals. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Member Morgan.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions, but I want to first start by saying thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the frontline officers who are doing this work every day. I expect it's very difficult work, and so going out there each every day and trying to both help provide public safety while connecting people with services is really important work in the community. And again, I think it's probably pretty difficult to do each day, but so I wanted to say first off, thank you. And please pass along my thanks, and I'm sure the board's thanks for the work that they're doing. I have just a couple of questions. So the first is about the partnership. So in phase 2, what I really like is the idea of MOUs to start to be able to share information about specific individuals, because I think that there's we're seeing this in a couple of different spaces where there's a small number of people consuming a very large number of resources. I know at the hospital system, there's, you can talk about a dozen people who are consuming a massive amount of emergency room resources and land ambulance resources. And it seems to me like the more data we share, if we can determine that there's really just a handful of people, and it's the same handful of people consuming resources in all these different ways, then we can target, some very specific supports to get those people out of this situation and into the proper care, and out of consuming these large numbers of resources. Because again, when a small number of people are creating such a huge impact, it seems like a really targeted approach that isn't just a police response, but a collective response would be very vital. So the MOUs in phase 2, I think, are really important. And I know the nurse police team will come up later, but also the sharing of information with the hospital system is probably pretty important as well. So social service agencies and hospitals and police kind of getting all together, see what individuals are connected. I think that's really important. So I'm really glad to see that. You mentioned a couple of times on the referrals, like the social service agencies and how they modify their help. How important are they to this strategy being successful? And what feedback are you getting from them about, are they the same as, I guess, Councillor Stevens' question about spaces, do they actually have spaces available, or are they consistently saying, we're trying to take people, we'll help them for a bit, but we don't have enough capacity? What are you hearing on that side of things? Because it seems, first off, I want to know how integral they are to the process, and then if you've heard anything about their needs in the process too.
Who would like to take that question?
Right, so
Our team.
No, they're crucial to this open air project. The reason is because since we've started, we've always had to change things up month by month as we go to just make things better. 'Cause something that might work for police might not work for the social agency. Just like this starting in the morning, can you start a little bit earlier? But I never thought of that. That's a good idea because now people can access the service instead of being out there just walking around. The other thing that they've made accommodation for police, if we make a referral or CIR for someone that wants a bed, if there's a bed available, they will take them. Whereas before, it's like, well, you know what our policy and procedure says. And then we're like, well, the person's out here, they need to get in. It's not before 9 or 10. And I get why they have the policy and procedure. They have to sign people in. But I'm like, this is urgent. We have so many people out here. We have the beds available. Let's fill all the beds. And there's other places. There's the Men's Mission, the Salvation Army. There's other places we want to fill those beds every night. That's our goal.
Yeah, I guess the other follow-up, I think, I don't know if it's for you or, but it seems to me like as we gather more data here, and I'm just thinking about this from a big picture with multiple kind of hats on at the same time. There's probably an advocacy piece to the province about the alignment of, you know, the way they deploy their resources, and the way that we can kind of all kind of pull in the same direction on this. Has there been any sharing of, like, I know this is being shared with the board, but is there any strategy to share this with, you know, the province in any sort of way on, here's what we're trying in London, here's kind of the results we're seeing, here's the impacts, and you know, just making sure the ministry or relevant ministries are up to date. I mean, I think I might coordinate that a different way with a different hat on, but I don't know if that's already being done or not.
I'm gonna go through the chief on
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Member Morgan, go ahead, chief.
Sure, thank you, and through you, yes, I'll say yes, there's other police services, not a lot in the province that have similar models. There's models that exist across the country, and there's models similar to this in the United States. So the data that Sergeant Whiten is reporting is 140 days of data. Although the project is over 6 months, it's actually data for 140 days. So once we have more data, and as you can see, we're learning a lot from this. This was part of the whole strategy. Phase 2 is that it is an examination of the data, what data tells us in phase 1, and then we move into phase 2 with the targeted pieces. And I'll highlight, there's an enforcement piece to this. This is about public safety. So 100% the information that has been brought forward, the key pieces, referrals, majority of individuals, of interactions, there's 811 interactions of different individuals. Over 50% of the 800 are not, are having more than one interaction with our foot patrol officers, right? If you look at the top 5, sir, you have, on average, top 5 are having 34 interactions with our officers. So like the sergeant said, now we look at those top 5, we get our partners together, and we think outside the box on how to address those needs, which will take pressures off our people and the city as a whole. But the majority are not accepting referrals, so that helps us. What can we do differently? Because we know not only is there distrust of policing, there's distrust amongst all institutions. So we need to look at the barriers as why people are not accepting the services and work together to try and increase that. So that is something that this response is a co-response with community, no different than the police, nurse police response teams, no different than Coast. You can see it in the organization where we're really embedding co-response to tackle these issues, and it's a good thing. So we're utilizing what we have. We're trying to address it as we go forward, but there is a huge appetite to share amongst the OACP and other police services what we learn from here. The other police services are watching what we're doing, and we need to share and we need to work together on it. So there is an appetite for that. We are doing it. We will be doing it. Just too early at this point, sir, to share what we have so far.
I appreciate that, and you know, I agree. You want the data to be robust and solid. I would say my kind of medium-term goal to this is successful programs that are innovated in cities, like those are things to take to the province and then, I mean, ultimately ask the province to help fund them in multiple cities, because I think when we do this, not just one place, but multiple places, then we all kind of boats rise together across the province and to try to tackle these issues. And so I'm certainly will be a very supportive voice on any sort of advocacy at the right time, and I'll make sure I coordinate with the police service at the right time on some of this data to make sure that we can align our perspectives on this. So I really appreciate the work that's being done, and I really appreciate the presentation and updates on this.
Thank you, Member Morgan. Members, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Chief, is there anything you wanted to add to this presentation before we move on to 5.2?
Chair, through you, I just want to thank the team here. In the development of the strategy, the evidence-based policing unit did some phenomenal work, and as the board is fully aware, when this got off the ground, there was a lot of hesitation and concern amongst the community, rightfully so. But I believe it is a well thought of strategy. We've engaged the community. We've talked to a lot of community partners and members who had concerns. And the reason why we continue to move forward is because we have a lot of community support. Perhaps maybe that's not what you always hear, but we believe that this is a good strategy, and it is, at the end of it, it is about public safety. It's about public safety for us. And we want to make sure that we continue the efforts. The commitment from myself and the executive is to continue this strategy into the next year. We'll have a lot of data and we'll learn a lot as we go, and we'll shift pertaining to what the data and the evidence tells us. So I just want to thank our evidence-based policing unit, Catherine Dan's command, and Ozzy. And Ozzy's got a partner, it's Jeremy, Elliot, who are both leading it on the ground with Sherry Balzer as a staff sergeant. So kudos to them, kudos to everyone for getting this strategy and actually doing the hard work. So thank you to everybody here.
So one thing, Chief, if you don't mind, can we call Carla? Because we lean on her. I'm sorry, Carla, you have to call. We lean on her hard for this project. And she's our go-to person, so I'm sorry to do this to you. The team, because without her, we just don't get the numbers. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Come on up. There you go.
On behalf of the board, I want to say thank you very much for that extensive presentation, and I really appreciated your public report. It's also in the packages as well. I did want to note, just to build upon the chief's comments there, two of the quotes in particular that are in that package talk about the increased feelings of safety from our community. I'm going to read both of them. One that says, "I do not know what I would do without the LPS Foot Patrol. With the expansion of the LPS Foot Patrol service and the addition of new officers in this area, it is now livable again. I want to sincerely thank the LPS Foot Patrol for the peace of mind that they bring to me and other business owners in the area." And another one reads, "I just wanted to extend my gratitude and thanks for the job that you do. Our team feels extremely well supported 24 hours a day. Over the past few months, we have seen a demonstrated effort to respond to calls and assist our team in a responsive and professional manner. We still definitely have our challenges, but I do see your team very visible in trying to assist and help community members from a caring and compassionate lens." And I think that talks very well about what this program is doing in the immediate dividends that it's paying. To the chief's point and what we've always said this board, there's still much more work to do, but we committed to doing policing differently 2 years ago, and this is another step in that direction. And these innovative programs are exactly what we need to see and exactly what the community expects. So thank you. Moving on to item number 5.2 in your package, the Nurse Police Response Team presentation and report 2510 UD02. And Deputy Guilford, I'll turn it back to you for an introduction.
Thank you very much, and Chair, through you, I'm excited to be able to bring the first board report to this board and to the public, just on the start of this new initiative with with LHSC and our service. To introduce this team, it'll be Inspector David Elliott, from Uniform Division.
Ozzy, you want to go?
It's coming up again.
Forgive everybody.
As they make their way to the podium, Mr. Chair, I'd also like to introduce Jennifer Raskeo, who's the director at LHSC Emergency Program, as well as Leanna, who's also a manager at LHSC Victoria Hospital Emerge. They're here to support and have been great partners working with Inspector Doug Brown on putting the nurse police teams together. At the front, you'll see Atlanta Hayter. Is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
Who's actually been working with our foot patrol team, and I'm going to turn it over to Ozzy and Atlanta to provide our presentation.
Just before we do that, actually, I just wanted to thank the members from LHSC for being here, for being a very strong community partner, and on behalf of the board, to the administrator, David Boucher as well. We really are very, very appreciative of the collaboration on innovative programs like this. So please articulate our thanks back to leadership over at the hospital. And with that, I will now turn it over to Sergeant Nethersall, and please go ahead.
Elaine is gonna start off by leading this.
I'll start off. Thanks, Ozzy. Again, I'm Elena Hader. I'm one of the registered nurses on the team from Victoria Hospital Emergency Department, and thankful to be here today. This is an initiative that I'm very passionate about, and I'm very honored to be part of the team. Let's move forward the slides here. So as most people know, this was an initiative that was started back in July, starting just based on Saturdays and Sundays, 11 to 11, which has since evolved to a 7-day-a-week program that we're very thankful for, running from, again, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's an opportunity for us to really recreate what it means to be on the front line to us as emergency room nurses and be able to help provide these clients in their own natural environment, this compassionate and client-centered care that they deserve. We work alongside the foot patrol team that Ozzy will speak on their behalf as well. Primarily, there'll be 2 officers you'll see us around with 1 nurse. Sometimes there's 3 officers depending on numbers, but always 2 that will be with us on the streets. Helps us with the opportunity to combine the law enforcement side of things with their knowledge and then our medical knowledge on the street to help those clients in their own environment. Talking about those areas that we already discussed, the East Village, Old Leaf Village, Midtown, and Downtown. As we know, our clients that are frequently visited the emergency department are ones that we know well, tend to be in these areas that we can move on to that suffer from homelessness crises, as well as addiction problems, mental health emergencies, and just overall health concerns. So going into their own environment allows us to acknowledge the challenges that they are faced with daily. Using our community resources also allows us as emergency nurses to take them back to the department and become more aware of the resources that we have in London, because we're kind of aware of them, but really not well enough until this program has started. We really get to understand and get to know those agencies on a deeper level of having that face-to-face conversation in the community with them. The mental health emergency part of things, obviously LPS has their COAST team that does help us with that, as well as CMHA social workers on the street to help support our clients in those areas of crisis as well. And in regards to the substance use disorder, we also kind of piggybacking on to the previous presentation about their open air substance use program or initiative that they're doing. We have been able to help encourage addiction sources or resources to the clients in their natural environment as well. A large portion of things, I'm just going to talk about stats next, but a lot of the things that we are seeing are these wound care and healthcare concerns in the community. So following up on dressings, or if they need medications, helping encourage those clients to reach out to the resources in the community that they can have access to, and in order to help resolve these issues that they're having. Some stats.
Early outcomes. From July 18th to September 18th, the nurse police teams have responded to 194 calls. The top 3 call types are 58 calls, medical assist. The majority of the people offer care, which is 93%, 41 calls, open use drugs, 34 calls, trespassing complaints. Additionally, of the 194 calls, 5% were classified as assist public. Nurses offered general advice rather than direct medical care. All 9 calls concluded with an accepted referral. Wound care is the most common medical assistance provided, 76%, and almost always accepted, 98%, by the individuals that the nurses deal with.
So there's kind of multiple aspects of this initiative that we're trying to focus on. Primarily, is just to help those in their community and in their natural habitat and encourage them to get the healthcare that they need, which we thought as emerge nurses that we would be seeing the clients that we do have multiple clients that access the emergency room frequently. So we were like, oh, this could be a great way to try to divert the services from emergency department, which it is. And in fact is, we do see those clients in the environment and we are able to help them in the community and provide different resources rather than them accessing the emergency department, that it might not be as necessary in that situation. But then the other side of things are the amount of people that we are actually meeting in the public that we don't know. They don't access healthcare, whether that's fear or previous traumas or past experiences, whatever that reasoning is. It's been an opportunity for us to go into their environment and help them receive the care that they do deserve, but for whatever reason that they have a fear of accessing. So it's been very eye-opening for us to be able to see those in their own, like I said, in their own environment and why, getting to know why can't they access their healthcare. A lot of the time it does come down to fear or wait times and they're just not aware of the resources. So we have been able to encourage them to go to different places like the Intercommunity Center or the Arcade for beds. And I will kind of piggyback on the question about the bed referrals, if they are accepted or not. They do have obviously their own policies and procedures in regards to the clients that they accept. If they have complex health concerns, that they're unable to manage that, which is fair. We have found that we're able to make that call as a nurse with the police team and advocate for that patient, that whether it's the wounds, we've dressed the wounds, we've taken care of it, whether it's medications, we can explain to them that we do have a plan in place for this person and that it is actually appropriate for them to have this referral, which I feel like maybe that was a bit of a gap before and that we're able to help close that gap and encourage and have that medical perspective on that situation.
Thank you. Now, actually, before we get into questions, we have a short video to show you that's going to be going out on our social media immediately following the board meeting.
Brief moment to cue that up.
Gosh, I'm not the best at tech, but we'll see. There we go. Okay, one button, I can do it.
Thank you for the presentation. Stay put for a minute, see if there's any questions from the members. Members, sorry, any questions on this program?
Just lots of gratitude.
Yeah.
It's amazing, I think. Really exciting to see the statistics are great with that kind of uptake.
Member Lehman?
Yeah, you know what? I think this is fantastic, especially to see both of you here from LHSC and here in the police board meeting. It's overdue, in my opinion. The situation that we have with addiction and mental health over a number of years, and it's very complex with homelessness, and it requires thinking outside the box. And I'm really encouraged to see the medical community getting out behind or outside the hospital walls and maybe redefining how health services are delivered. A lot of pressure has been put on policing and city staff and social agencies, and we need more help. Addiction, mental health, the root of much of homelessness that we see. And then learning today of the treatment that the nurses are providing with some serious wounds, et cetera, that would go untreated and, oh my God, leading to much worse conditions for that individual. It was very heartwarming. So I think we're on a terrific track today. What we spoke about this afternoon is wonderful. We're not just throwing our hands up and giving up, but as I think many areas have. Let's keep on. I think we're making a difference. So thank you very much, and thank you especially.
Thank you, Member Lehman. Member Stevenson.
Yeah, just to follow up, it's really great to see the collaboration and to see the easing of some of the suffering that we see out on the streets. So these are really positive results, and just want to say sincere thanks.
Member Morgan.
So I want to echo my thanks for the work that you're doing, as well as to the LHSC. And I'll be pretty frank about this. David and I have talked many times about the challenge that he's working through with the budget situation in that organization. But it continues to ensure that areas that require investment, areas that are critical to the healthcare in this community, like this, are not caught up in reorganization of an organization's finances, but are actually supported and could use more support in the future, because I think this is quite successful. And I've offered to him my support for advocacy at the provincial level to ensure that healthcare systems are adequately funded, so that hospitals have the ability to project out into the community these sorts of programs that could be quite valuable than traditional hospital and institutional based healthcare within the walls of the building. Like, I think this is exceptionally innovative, but also highly effective and well needed. And so I'll certainly continue to add my voice on the advocacy side to support LHSC in doing this type of work out in our community.
Member Morgan. I just wanted to make a comment on behalf of the board. I really wanted to thank the healthcare professionals, like I said, LHSC, and I want to thank the nurses. The officers know, and everyone else PS knows the gratitude we have for them, and we offer that praise, and we also offer some constructive feedback when we need to as a board. That's our role as a governance model. But I really want to take a moment to highlight the nurses coming together. It's great to see you meeting the patients where they are. As I'm married to a nurse. My mother was a nurse. My grandmother was a nurse. And my mother-in-law is a nurse. So I a long line of nurses, and I know what goes into the profession. I know the sacrifices that our officers make, but I also know the sacrifices that our frontline healthcare workers make as well. So I really wanted to, on behalf of the board, to say thank you. Please, back to the members of the team, to the nurses that you work with on this program. Please thank them for us, for the board, because again, back to when we talked about our previous presentation as well in the open air drug use strategy, it's pivotal that we are creative in how we deal with the challenges that our community faces. I'm a Londoner to my core. I've been here my entire life, and for far too long, we act like a small community, but we really have big city problems. We have to act like the big community that we are and deal with the big problems. And to Member Morgan's point, Member Lehman, Member Stevenson, we have to be collaborating with our partner agencies. We have to be working together. It's not on the shoulders of just the police. It's not on the shoulders of just the hospital. It's not on the shoulders of just our social agencies in the community either. We all need to be working together and to collaborate. And I just wanted to highlight one thing, is that I noticed in the medical assist calls that were cleared based on if medical assistance was accepted or declined, 93% accepted the care that was offered. For me, that is the sign of a program that's working. That is the sign of that we've struck gold. We're doing something right. So I look forward to seeing the next update, and I understand that this is, it's a relatively small sample size. So I look forward to seeing what we can do to even accelerate those numbers further and expand the program where possible. So thank you very, very much. And I'll look at one last call to the members of any other comments, and I'll turn to the chief if he had anything to offer. You have anything? Go ahead, Chief.
I'm just gonna echo everyone's comments. I want to thank Jennifer, Leanne, and Alana's got the coolest last name. Her last
Heard that before.
her last name is Vader. Very cool last name. Very cool vest that she's wearing. I want to thank everyone from LHSC who is here and all of your colleagues, Alana. But I want to publicly thank David Mouche, the LHSC supervisor. So David Mouche, when he came here quite some time ago with a mandate of his own, I reached out to him as because when I came, I had people reach out to me as a new leader in the community. So I reached out to David Mouche and welcomed him to the city. The first conversation that we had together, and I'll share this with the board, was I needed commitment to get this off the ground. And you see the results of this today, but there's a lot of work that has been behind the scenes on the LHSC side and our side through Deputy Guilford, Inspector Doug Brown, Inspector Dave Elliott, and everyone on the team. There's a lot of work that has been happening behind the scenes. So I just want to acknowledge it's about relationships, and policing relationships is very important. We got to stop battling with everyone. And if we look at community safety as a shared responsibility, community safety and well-being as a whole, we can move things a lot quicker. And a lot of kudos, all the kudos to David Mouche for moving the barriers and the red tape to get this off the ground. And this is something we truly believe in. And I want to thank the board for your indulgence and your support to get this off the ground, because this is a really good thing for our community. We're excited to keep going with it. And if we didn't have the support from LHSC, this is completely not possible. So I just wanted to acknowledge everyone and thank everyone for all their work.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah,
Thanks again. We'll move on into the agenda. Item number 6, Executive Administration. We have a Professional Standards Quarterly Report 2510 EA02, and I will turn it over to Deputy Best.
Here through you, you have the report. Board has a report before it. However, just very high level summary. With respect to the statistics pertaining to complaints received through the months of April, May, and June 2025, there was a slight increase. We noticed very slight in complaints received during that period of time over last year. Complaints about the conduct of police officers, the number of complaints is stable compared to 2024. As usual, the majority relate to performance of duties or interactions with the public, and a large number of complaints made to the law enforcement complaints in its agency are screened out by LECA. Again, the board is fairly self-explanatory. I hope, however, if there are any questions, happy to attempt to answer them. Subject to the questions, that's the first report.
Members? We don't know. We just proceed for information purposes. And Member Lehman? Okay, we don't even need motion. Yeah. Any questions or comments?
It was a pretty detailed report, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Appreciate that very much. We'll move on to item 7 in your published agenda, which is the verbal updates, and I'll lead off. I just wanted to take this opportunity. We had a whole press conference about it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to once again acknowledge that we've agreed to a contract extension with Chief Trong until December 31st, 2031. And I think it goes without saying that the board has the complete confidence in the chief and his leadership team and what they're doing on this transformational change of the organization. When you came in, you were provided with a mandate to really build back this organization to provide effective policing to the City of London for now, into the future, and for future generations. So we're really proud to be able to have you leading the team here for the foreseeable future, and know that We had high expectations for you before, and they're even higher now. But we look forward to seeing the results and innovative programs that are coming forward, like that we saw today. Both of those presentations were fantastic. So, Chief, I just wanted to say once again, thank you for your commitment to our community. I want to thank you for your commitment to this service, and we really appreciate everything that you're doing with your team and with all the members, both sworn and civilian, every day to make sure that the Londoners are safe. And we stop at nothing from a board to make sure that the service has what it needs to do that very job. I also wanted to mention that one of the most moving things that I think I get to do as chair is attend police memorials, both in Toronto, the provincial memorials, mental health memorial this year, and the National Police Memorial in Ottawa, which was held very recently. And I was overwhelmed to see that over 100 LPS members attended this single largest delegation from this service, which I think is a testament to, again, things that are changing within this organization. And it's just so fantastic to see that. I want to highlight the London Police Association as well for helping with transportation, moving members up there, really working with the chief and the executive command to show our support of these very, very important memorials for individuals who've made the ultimate sacrifice for our safety and the safety of the communities across Canada. So as long as I'm here, I'll continue to go to these. And I really wanted to thank all the members who took the time out, on their own time over the weekend, travel up to Ottawa, and it was really great to see right across the board, and it's really good to see other services as well. But London's representation was very, very impressive, and it as the chair of this board, it was a proud moment. So I wanted to just say thank you for that. And I'd also like to take a moment just to reiterate that work has begun in the board's new strategic planning process, and it's fully underway. And there will be formal public decisions around the process by the end of the year. As part of this effort, the board will be prioritizing broad and meaningful consultation with the community. We'll be seeking input from residents, taxpayers, community partners, and groups and individuals whose voices are often represented. The goal is to ensure that this plan reflects the full range of perspectives and experiences across our city. The board remains open to feedback and input from the community on an ongoing basis. Reach out to our board office at any time. We also recognize that not everyone may feel comfortable providing feedback directly on policing matters. For this reason, I would like to emphasize that these consultations will be conducted independently of the service and at arm's length to help ensure accessible and a transparent process. So please stay tuned for more information that we will be providing publicly. And with that, she's not in the room, but I did want to congratulate. Oh, okay, she's hiding, but I did want to congratulate Dr. Faulkner, our newest member, who is welcomed her newest little bundle, Joyce Sunny. You probably saw Sunny chilling out here, having a good nap. He is our assistant board member, and we're just he's been fantastic, and we just wanted to say congratulations to Dr. Faulkner and her family, and welcome Sunny to the world. So congratulations. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Toronto for his verbal update.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, just first of all, let me express my sincere gratitude and thanks to the board for your trust in making London Police Service like Hotel California. You can come, but you can never leave. So thank you for your trust on this day. There's a lot of work to do. Like we are in a good spot. We're moving forward, and there is a significant amount of work to do. And Chair, for the board's awareness, the chair and I did a podcast yesterday, and specifically, I don't know when it's going to air, but it was asked about the solution, and I'll echo some of the comments. There's a lot of work to do, and I don't think I would be optimistic or even commit to staying to 2031 had I not have an executive team with the deputy chiefs on my right here, my senior leadership team, all my team. That's an important function and responsibility that the senior leadership team have. But I will note that President Gareth Harris and Executive Director Paul Dominguez is in the room from the association. And as I mentioned yesterday on the podcast, I'm lucky, we're lucky to have the association and their leadership because I truly feel they have the interests of the membership at their heart. And we have an association, we have an executive team that are both have the same interests. And we're just making sure that we work towards making this organization the best police service in the province and the country. So I would not be here and want to stay had it not been people that we have in this incredible organization, all the membership, including the community. So I just want to thank the board publicly. Thank you for your trust. And I know there's lots more work to do. And as much as support that we have from the board, we appreciate that. And I also know that there's expectations and you have a job of governance, and we will continue to do our job as best as we can. To add on the National Police Memorial, thank you, Chair, for attending. It means a lot to the executive, it means a lot to the membership that the chair of the board finds time to come to Ottawa. And I'll reiterate, the National Memorial is what is, if not the most important day in policing, where we recognize members who paid the ultimate price, police officers, peace officers who paid the ultimate sacrifice. The least we can do is to make every effort that we can is to get to Ottawa to show respect for those members who lost their lives and their families. So we would not have had the 100+ members attend if it weren't for the leadership of Garrett and Paulo and their commitment to understanding how important it is. So I just want to thank them again for their dedication in moving together with us. And we still are going through a culture change and a transformational change as a police service. And then the last update that I will give is just, I want to highlight to the board what you've seen me continually do when I get an opportunity to, and choose verbal on, and highlight some of the work that our people are doing. One small piece. So on October 4th, it was a Saturday, and there was a report of an individual, a civilian, that was on the rooftop of a business in our city. Concerns were raised because the individual was walking to and from the ledge. Huge public safety concerns. We were concerned of that individual. There was a immediate police response to that scene, and that individual ultimately was in crisis. So I can tell you that our officers, numerous resources responded, fire, EMS, our frontline officers had attended, and for over 3 hours, our frontline officers negotiated along with two experts, Dr. Mehta and Dr. Rostas, all worked together to try and de-escalate the situation and negotiate and speak to that individual who was in crisis, who was, we had major concerns for that individual was going to jump. 3 hours plus of patience, communication, and de-escalation resulted in a safe outcome. We ended up getting the individual to the hospital to get the professional care that he deserves. So that is one piece of work, again, of our membership that they do on a daily basis, our frontline officers, that they don't get enough credit. And specifically officers on that case at that time, I want to give them acknowledgement. Constable Silverthorne, Constable Kane, PC Armstrong, Coleman, and Staff Sergeant Maria Wright, in addition to EMS, fire, and the two doctors. So just highlighting that for the board as a chief's verbal, subject to any questions.
Members, any questions for the chief? Seeing none, thank you, chief. Appreciate it. One last call. Any new business on item 8 of your agenda? Member Morgan?
Yeah, I just wanted to, with your indulgence, Chair, comment, and I would have added it to new business at the start, but it happened during the meeting. And that is the Prime Minister's announcement that he's going to bring forward legislation on bail reform next week.
Before you proceed,
Yeah.
we leave from the board. We're good to add that in as new business?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Continue. Thank you.
Okay, so as colleagues know, both this board, the chiefs of police, the big city mayors have all written to the federal government saying bail reform is absolutely critical for public safety in our communities. To see that the prime minister is going to introduce legislation that finally puts the onus on for major crimes on those who are accused to get bail rather than the other way around, I think will put us in a position where violent and repeat offenders are more likely to stay in jail until they have their trial rather than be out on the streets. I know that is probably a bit of frustration for those who do policing in this community and across this country to do the good work of apprehending people who are accused of crimes and then, unfortunately see them out on the streets and in some cases across this country committing other crimes while they're out on bail, sometimes violent crimes. So, this has been a long time coming for the federal government to make this move, but I do want to applaud the Prime Minister for finally, getting to the step of bringing forward this legislation. I look forward to reading what's in it, but from what's been said in the media so far, it looks like it's going to address a number of concerns that I know multiple organizations have had. And I wanted to say nationally, if you can let me just shift my hat just a tiny bit for just a moment. I get to chair the Big City Mayor's Caucus. And Mayor Patrick Brown and I have talked about this quite a bit because he's got a significant issue with auto thefts in his community and has been a big advocate on our caucus for this being a priority. And this is elevated to one of our top priorities as Big City Mayors. Usually it's infrastructure, transit, housing, those sorts of things, but public safety and bail reform has been a top priority. And so to be responsive to the needs of communities and to actually introduce legislation, I think is a step forward that has to be absolutely commended. And again, I'll look forward to reading the legislation. I know there's a process to go through in Parliament, but this is responsive to the needs of communities. It's responsive to and calls that chiefs of police and boards like police boards have made across this country. And this is absolutely a step in the right direction. So I wanted to comment on it here. I know there'll be a lot said over the next while. I'll put out a statement as mayor on it, but we sit as a police board here, and this absolutely will impact the work that we do. So I'm really excited to see this legislation. I don't want to read the bill, obviously, but from what's been said so far, it looks like it's headed in a really positive direction.
Thank you, Member Morgan. Other comments from members on this? I'll just say on behalf of the board that obviously every board member here has spoken about this and has advocated strongly for the need to have bail reform. I really want to thank our chief and executive command as well. I know there's been engagement that's happened here with federal ministers, with Minister Andesangri, MP Fragascatos on this very topic and telling directly what things that they want to see on this issue and other issues when it comes to important public safety matters in our community. And I think that this definitely was something that was long overdue and very, very necessary. We've heard from the officers, the ones that know we're on the board that stop us, that express these concerns, express these frustrations. We've heard from the residents that we serve as well in our community that they want to see this change. So again, I think it'll be great to read the bill, really kind of take it in fully. And but we're really happy that this board is, because we've been advocating for this very change. So to see this progressing is good, and hopefully it gives the tools needed to ensure that these repeat offenders that are getting out and perpetrating the crimes over and over again are held, and that there is justice, and that there is that return that we talk about, that perspective of safety and that feeling of safety amongst residents, that they know that when crime does occur, that there are going to be consequences, and they're not going to see the same crime being perpetrated, sometimes hours, if not a few days later. So just to our team, to our right, thank you for your advocacy as well, through your channels, Chief, through the chiefs of police, to the mayor, to councilors as well. I know you wear different hats in this room than you do around the council horseshoe, but this is very, very important step. And again, we hope to see it implemented in due course. And also too, I just wanted to take a moment, because provincial government is kind of our regulator, in the sense to thank the provincial government for their advocacy, Minister Flack here locally, the Premier. This has really kind of been, for lack of a better term, a Team Canada, all hands on deck approach. It's something you change. And as someone who worked in politics for a long period of time, I don't ever remember seeing all premiers and territorial leaders and and other industry leaders get on board to say that this is something that needs to happen. So it's definitely a good day that way. So thank you for that, Member Morgan. One last ask if whether or not there's any new business. Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Vice Chair Branscombe, seconded by Member Stevenson. Anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you for adjourning to 2:50.
Here,